Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
back.
Permission to Explore, the podcast. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Kelly.
Hey. And as of recording this, it's December 1st, but I do believe December.
Yay, December!
I mean, as a December birthday, I'm very excited about that. But I do believe this podcast is going to be coming out somewhere around mid-January. So we wanted to discuss setting intentions for 2022. What the heck does that mean?
I
don't know. If you're like most people that I do know, and as I have been in the past, you probably get to this time of year and your schedules are insane. Mm-hmm. They're crazy busy, like more than usual.
Yep.
And perhaps you find yourself in that, I'm kind of concerned about my health, or at least my weight or my appearance, or knowing what Kelly's raising her hand over there. Kelly just raised her hand, right? Knowing the toll that like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas run can have on a body, right? And then there's that physical side of it, but then there's also that like internal side of it, the stress or anxiety that can come, right? Mm-hmm. With wrapping up an end of the year and those busy schedules and, our connection or a relationship with our bodies. But often what can happen too is, as busy as we are, you can still have that feeling of like disconnection, right? You may be spending time with family and friends and loved ones, but your brain is somewhere else because there's so much on the schedule. Mm-hmm. And there's not just that disconnection from, the people that you love, but also from yourself, right? Yes. That there's so much going on that you don't take time for you to take care of what you need for you. And the thing is I realize, that's a year-round thing, but it seems so extra heightened this time of year, this December holiday season. So oftentimes when we get to January, we have that feeling of like, what just happened, first of all. What just happened?
Holy crap.
Yeah, we can feel like, okay, I just went through all the motions, right? I went through the motions, I got through my days, and then now I'm here, now what? Right? That tends to happen. And we can also have that moment of, I just went through a whole year. What did I accomplish? What changed? Did anything change? Or did I spend my year going through the motions, getting through my days, right? That's this other thing that kind of January can bring, is just this almost like letdown of where did this past year go? Right? And that can bring up these feelings of shame or guilt or disappointment, or even just straight up like sadness that another year has gone by. And what did I do? What did I accomplish? What, all of those things. So I know for myself, I have those feelings, and then I'm always like, all right, January, let's do this. Like I get really intense about it. And I'm sure a lot of people are that way too, right? There's this change you want to make. We're very acutely aware. All right, fresh start, new year, let's do this, right? I want to accomplish that physical goal. I want to accomplish that business goal. I want to accomplish, this is the year of me, right? Like all of those things that come up. And you want to oftentimes say, Another big one that I hear is like, I want to feel energized by my day instead of like completely exhausted and drained.
Yeah.
Right? There's all those different feelings in there. And perhaps you're someone who sets New Year's resolutions. Everybody talks about the New Year's resolutions. And look, I'm a huge fan of goals. I really am.
Yeah.
But in this episode, we want to discuss perhaps a different perspective on New Year's resolutions. Resolutions often come with the best intentions, right? We set them going, all right, this is the year, and we focus on that outcome. But in this episode, we want to dive into the idea of setting the intention for the year, and that intention is aligned with the outcome that you desire. Mm-hmm. And so what that does is it takes the pressure off of the outcome per se. But what it does is aligns you with the behaviors and the choices that can lead to the outcome that you desire. So that, you know, a common one is, I want to lose 20 pounds, 50 pounds. Well, you don't exactly have control of the number of pounds, but you have control over the behaviors that lead to the weight loss, right? Mm-hmm. So what if we start looking at, quote, New Year's resolutions more as New Year's intentions?
Right.
And that way you can base these decisions off of, does this line up with the intention I've set for the year? Woo! What do you think, Kel?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, I prefer the word intentions versus like resolutions.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well,
maybe because resolution is part of a resolve, and it's like, what are you trying to resolve?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, like where intentions are, you know, you have to be intentional, right? There's an intent into your intentions. If it feels more meaningful in that way. So
yeah, I can totally relate with that. Like, I feel like resolutions has a lot of like forceful energy behind it to me, which is a doing energy. And the fact of the matter is, like, I don't need more doing in my life. Right? Like, I don't. And how many, especially women, I mean, this goes for men too, but like the women that we work with, that is the number one thing. Like, you don't need more shit on your plate. Stop it. Right?
Yeah. Like, you're good at doing.
You're really good at doing.
That's why you're here.
And that's why you're exhausted. And that's why, right? So yeah, exactly. So if we set intentions, right, that just, to me, it eases the pressure can. It's like, okay, all I have to do is really slow down and think. So is this going to get me where I want to go? Is this going to take me further away or closer to the result I want to have? And that's it. And as we, you know, kind of dive into this, I'm going to share what my 2022 intentions are. I think Kelly's going to share. I know Kelly's still kind of like noodling hers because, like I said, this is December when we're recording this. December 1st, but I know she's on a path. She's got an idea of where she wants to go with this. So maybe she'll let us like work through it. But they don't have to be physical doing outcomes. And that right there for me was a big game changer. I'm very much an outcome-oriented person. Like I said, huge fan of goals. But when I switched to, I know it's cliche, but focusing on the journey, right? When I switched to that, holy crap, everything got easier. I had a coach ask me, and this was really, really powerful. If you never achieved the outcome, would you still do what you're doing? And if I apply that to goals that I've set in my past that probably didn't accomplish, right? The answer was generally no, which means that the process was more of a punishment.
Yeah.
Which also means not likely to do it, which is probably why I didn't accomplish what I thought I wanted to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
I hated what I was doing. So if we can switch that and, reframe, Kelly's word, reframe. If we can reframe that in a way, that, supports us in getting to the outcome we want, well, wouldn't that make the whole thing easier? Right? So that's kind of what that's my intention for this podcast is to help make the whole thing easier.
Right.
So, Kel, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? What do you want? You're still thinking. I can literally see your face thinking.
I know. I know. Yes, you go.
Okay.
And let me noodle.
I'm going to think about this some more. So, my intention for 2022 is to let go. But, in the wise words of Elsa, let it go, let it go. And there are a couple of reasons. I got to quote some Disney. But there are... I think this intention for me has been a process over the last couple of years, right? This has unfolded in the work that I've been doing these last few years pretty intensely. And what letting go means to me is one, almost like this, like I said, this force, right? This drive, this force, this masculine energy, right? And when I say masculine energy, I'm not talking about genders or sex or anything. I'm talking like yin and yang, right? Masculine energy is the yang, feminine energy is the yin. Masculine energy is drive, force, competition, comparison, doing. And feminine energy is acceptance, allowing, receiving. Like, it's far more gentle. And I do know that I am very out of balance with that. I'm extremely out of balance with that. So one of the phrases that I like is I have wounded feminine energy. That one part of the, kind of Western culture really pushes masculine energy. But two, the home that I grew up in pushes masculine energy. Like, I have 3 older brothers. All of my cousins are male. And again, this isn't like a sex thing, but they are all strong masculine energy people. Therefore, that was the influence that I had, right?
Yeah.
Men can very much have feminine energy. Women can very much have masculine energy. We all have both, but one is usually more prevalent, right?
Yeah.
So this uncovering of the idea of feminine energy is something that I really want to embrace. And in order to embrace it, I have to let go of all of these old masculine energy tendencies, right? And again, this is kind of something that I've really been looking into in the idea of in order to receive, in order to gain, I have to let go of some of the other stuff, right? If I want to, let's say, if I want to start a workout routine or a more intense workout routine, I have to let go of the idea that I hate working out. It doesn't serve the goal, right? Like, and that's the thing is, in order to let something in, you have to make room for it, which means you got to let some other stuff go. Right. I'm not good at the letting go. I really don't do that part well. Or I try to control, which is another form, letting go. You got to let go of the control. So I will try to control what I'm willing to let go of, or what I'm willing to let, say, changes that I'm trying to make affect. Right. So if I want to make some changes and in letting go, I don't get to pick and choose, right, what I'm willing to let go of. Right. I don't want it to affect this. I don't want it to affect this, but I want it to affect this, You gotta let that go. Right. And trust, which is another very feminine energy. Trust that it's all for your higher good. This growth is all for your higher good. So, a common way that can manifest is, say, I want to eat healthier, except, in December. Right? Well, if you want to eat healthier, you got to let go of the fact that you can't eat healthy in December. Right? Like, that's a conflict. It's not going to help you, and it's going to make the whole process harder. Right? Now I understand, like, hello, I just said I have a December birthday. There are more desserts in December in my life. There are, right? Kelly and I are going to get together for holidays. I'm going to get together with family. I'm going to get, there are a lot of holiday gatherings, right? But that doesn't mean the month of December is off the table. Right? Like,
the whole month.
I gotta
screw it.
Yeah, I gotta let go of that story, of that belief, right?
Yeah.
And so, again, letting go can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And I've tried to distill it down to what it means to me. And it was kind of funny because I totally got into this overthinking pattern when I was doing this. I know, it's shocking, Kelly. But it was so funny because I was like, how do I explain this? I really need, how do I make this clear? And then I was laughing because I was like, well, it really doesn't matter what everyone else thinks of my intention.
Right.
Which is another pattern that I am working through letting go of. Right? What everyone else thinks about what I'm doing. That everyone else needs to understand what I'm doing and why. That everyone else needs to accept that it's okay for me to do what I need to do. No one else needs to accept it at all.
No.
That is all part of my letting go, because all of that is control. And that control, that need to control, comes from insecurities, fear and insecurities, right? So this all started to unravel for me when I did my first round of TCP with Jim Fortin. And I recognized this subconscious driver of needing to prove myself, of needing people to, in order to prove myself, what I'm really doing is saying, please accept me. Right. And with that, I also recognize, the whole super busy schedule thing that I know I've shared before, right? Was so busy and constantly being busy, and then saying, man, I just really wish I weren't so busy. And a coach of mine pretty much sucker punched me when she said, well, why are you doing that to yourself? No one else is making me busy. I'm the one that's agreeing to it, And so when I had my first round of TCP and I started recognizing this, it was March of 2020. Do you remember March of 2020?
Oh, God.
Right? And,
I wish I didn't.
I do remember it clearly. Now give me some tequila.
Yeah.
Right? But I was in a different boat because I don't have kids, right? Mm-hmm. I found myself suddenly very unbusy because I couldn't go to work. My, Pilates clients were all 60 plus. They were not keen on the technology. And many of them had very physical ailments that, although I could work with them around, they were not comfortable in that. Yeah. So my schedule just cleared. And I was stuck at home, very unbusy. And I hated it. I hated it. And what I quickly realized is that my busy was very much an avoidance tactic. I stayed busy so that I could avoid, frankly, being with me.
Right.
Right. And we all have our coping mechanisms. Busy was very much one of mine.
Right.
If I could stay busy, I really didn't have to look at, was I happy? If I stayed busy, right? Because I could blame my unhappiness on the busy. I could blame my unhappiness on, look how hard I'm working. I'm constantly working. I'm such a hard worker, right? There was a lot of things that I could push. I could justify the reasons without having to actually face, holy crap, I'm not happy, right?
Right.
What also came with that, and I've shared about this in retreats before, was our assignment of 4 hours of silence.
Yeah.
That came in 2020 as well, the first time. And Jim does this exercise in the program where you sit in silence for 4 hours. And I know for some people, like, especially moms out there, are probably like, that sounds wonderful. Oh, that would be glorious. Great. But it's not 4 hours to yourself. It's 4 hours with yourself.
Yeah.
There is no phone, computer, movies, books. There are no chores. Yay. But that also means there are no distractions. Nothing. Right. You don't get a pen and pencil and journal. You don't get books to read. You don't get to go on a walk. You sit your butt down in one spot. Hi, Brody. Right. And you sit your butt down in one spot and you are there for 4 hours alone with the thoughts in your head.
Right. Ugh.
It was horrible. And again, as someone who just realized how much I, quote unquote, thrived on being busy, I was addicted to my busy. And I'm going through withdrawals, right?
Oh, yeah.
Basically, that was going on for March and April and May for me of 2020. I was going through busy withdrawals. Yeah. I was like, there were so many points of being angry. And again, being angry at other people. Right? Yeah. Like, not just like I'm angry about being shut down. I'm angry about not being able to work, which I was, but also just being really angry at anyone else who didn't understand why I'm upset. Right. Right? Like all of that combined, I also had that wave of, hey, the studio is closing, completely closing, like that whole thing, Right. All of that combined. And now my coach wants me to sit in silence in my head, like just with the thoughts in my head. Like that was why are you punishing me like this? Right? It was horrible. What did I do to you, Jim? I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, And Kelly knows, like, I text her when that assignment came and I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it. I do not want to do this. Right.
Right.
But I also know that those things that we resist so much, those will control us for our lives unless we just face it. Right. Yep. Those things that you avoid will control you. Those things that you push away will control you. So I did it. I text Kelly and I was like, all right, here I go. I'm doing it. 4 hours. Like, I was sick to my stomach. It was absolutely horrible. But what became crystal clear in those 4 hours was that I sat down and I set my timer, because I set a timer. I'm like, I'm not doing this any longer than need to be.
Right.
I sat down in the office and I set my timer and I sat my butt on a pillow on the floor and I'm just sitting there and my brain is just like, what are you doing? This is stupid. You don't have time for this. You have so much work you can be doing, because we were doing our first retreat. Right. Yeah. We launched that on March 6th, 2020. And, you don't know what you're doing for this retreat. Why are you wasting time spending 4 hours in silence? Like, you need to be figuring out what you're going to do about this retreat. If you're still going to hold it, where are you going to hold it? When are the deposits due? All of that stuff. And I just turned my head and I see my bookshelf and my brain immediately goes, this is going to be like those books on the bookshelf where you start and you don't finish it. How many books on there have you actually read? You want to use your time wisely. Maybe you should read those business books on your shelf that you don't read. Going on. And it was mean. My brain is mean. and it took exactly 6 minutes for me to hit the timer to start, for my brain to go, this is a waste of time. Spending this time with you is a waste of time. 6 minutes. And that was like this explosion of me realizing, wow, that's why I stay so busy. Yep. Wow. That's why I don't want to meditate or sit in silence, because I think spending time with me is a waste of time. And yet I am constantly trying to prove myself and gain acceptance from other people, basically saying, please say you want to hang out with me. Please say you want to spend time with me. Right? Trying to garner this validation from things outside of me when I refuse to do it myself. I refuse to acknowledge myself, to accept myself, to spend time with myself. So when I say this whole letting go idea, that's really where it started, was really going wow, this is insane. We're going to start letting go of all these external validations. That was kind of halfway through 2020. A lot of this year was just pulling away from those externals. Now, because I'm human, the pendulum tends to swing from side to side, right? So
constantly
2021 was kind of a big phase of well, I'm not gonna. Right? I've spent so much time being busy, I'm not going to do a damn thing. Right? It just swung so far. And again, because I'm human, I found myself in a really interesting position in, say, January? When was it? Yeah, around this time when we in LA got to kind of open up again. And so after my period of I'm not going to do nothing, I found a different job, and then had that opportunity of hey, we're opened up again. And I found myself shoving people into spaces on the calendar, right? Because it's a habit. I've run that system for 20 some years, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of had to go, oh, okay, this isn't working. You know, catch myself in that moment and in that process and go, okay, we got to fix this because this is not healthy for me. And I know it's not healthy for me, one, because I've gone through adrenal fatigue and I know that this is not healthy for me. This is exactly how I got to that point, you know? And two, you know, a red flag for me is that resentment coming up, resentment towards people who, you know, schedule a session and then cancel without telling me, you know, they no show or they cancel last minute, right? And I'll have so much resentment towards them because I'm like, hey, my schedule's busy, my time is precious, except I'm not treating my time like it's precious.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So those are signs for me. And then we had another 4 hours of silence assignment. And now I'm like, this isn't fair because I'm like really busy and, you know, I don't have time for 4 hours of silence. Like, I know last time I said I didn't have time when I did have time, but I just thought I should be doing it or something different. But this time I literally don't have time, you know, because we can justify anything if it lets us keep a hold of our stories, right? So this time I sit down and I do it. And I did, like I said, the first time I did that, I was so nauseous after these 4 hours. Like, I literally felt like all of this toxicity came up and came out, and I had to acknowledge it because I wasn't distracted by anything else. Right? I had to face that is what was within me.
Right.
Right? No wonder I kept so freaking busy. I didn't want to acknowledge that. Right?
Right.
Then this time was, I sat down and it's like, all right, I'm doing it. Like, I didn't have to talk myself into it as much, but like, I still wasn't like going willingly. And, and you know what? It was so much easier, which made me so uncomfortable. That is when I started recognizing that pattern. Right? It was like, I am really uncomfortable when things were easy because the chatter in my head was saying, you must be doing this wrong.
Right. Yep.
If this is easy, you must be doing something wrong. You must not be trying hard enough. You must not be doing it well enough. Right? Like, that's the chatter that came up. And that's why, like, those moments are so valuable. Like, Kelly and I have talked about, meditation isn't like necessarily about quiet your mind.
No.
It can also be about, those are the thoughts that just run through my head. Those are the thoughts that I've programmed that just show up on default, right? So when I recognize that as well, this like, I'm really uncomfortable when things are easy. I am so addicted to my to suffering and proving myself and things having to be hard, right? That I really don't like that. Yeah. So again, this is part of that, like, letting go is also, you know, recognizing those patterns and letting go of the expectation that like it needs to go a certain way. The stories of like, if you're not, it sounds so silly when I say it, but like, if I am not pounding my head against my desk and struggling with doing my work, then I'm not doing well enough.
Right.
Right? If I am not working from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not, like, all of that stuff, right? Why? And that's what I'm really working through, that like letting go of. And what comes up with that, like I said before, is like picking and choosing what I'm willing to let go of. Because oftentimes we cling to these stories that aren't serving us because we get some sort of payoff or reward for it, right? Mm-hmm. So in that example I just gave, if I'm not working hard enough, right, my payoff for working 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. is that I feel like I'm a hard worker. And in my head, I have that attached to my worth.
Right.
Right? Well, if I'm going to say I am worthy simply because, if I'm going to say I value myself in the work that I do, simply because I know I'm good at what I do and I know I can help people, I have to let go of the idea that my value and worth is attached to the number of hours I work.
Right.
Right? But the number of hours I work is my quote unquote validation.
Right.
So I have to let go of that. And that's
right.
uncomfortable, right? You have to let go of all these stories that you've built up that allow you to justify keeping the story.
Right, right.
That was one part. The second part is, emotions.
Yeah.
That has been an interesting process. We just shared not that long ago about our Reiki experiences and some of the emotions and stuff that, you store in the body in there. But another thing that's been really interesting in this process for me the last couple of years is emotions I've habituated and normalized so much to the fact that I don't even realize I'm in them. Right. Anxiety is a big one for me. I think I've shared on here before that I would say like, no, I'm not an anxious person. I just like have panic attacks from time to time. Like, no, that's not normal.
That's not normal.
You don't have panic attacks without there being a high threshold of anxiety. Right? Like, but I've so habituated it. I honestly didn't know that I was in anxiety. It was just my normal operating methods. Well, how do you know you're in anxiety? But if I've so habituated this anxiety, but I didn't know it, right? But then you start to recognize like some of these, I would say red flags, but the getting really upset over like things that you don't need to get upset about. That's usually a sign of anxiety, right? Quick emotional outbursts, whether that's anger, sadness. Like one time, Eddie and I were standing, again, had no idea. Eddie and I were standing in line for like a movie preview. So, we're in LA, so we can go to previews before movies are released and see them, and you give feedback and they may make edits or stuff, right? And there was one that I was really excited about going to. And we were standing in the line because there's, like you just stand in line and hope you get in. And they will look at like, different boxes and metrics, right? So certain age groups, certain ethnicities, certain, all sorts of different, so they can get a wide variety of how it's going in certain categories. And so we're standing in line and they finally get to our paper and we didn't get accepted. Like they were like, no, thanks. And I'm pretty certain it's because of me. And like they've already got too much of female, white female in her 30s. Yeah. Like they've got too much. Yeah. And I literally just started crying. I just started crying. And Eddie looks at me and he goes, baby, it's okay. We can go see another movie. Like they literally hand you vouchers to go see any movie that's in the theater right now. Yeah. And I'm crying and I had the like capacity of that point to be like, I'm not crying about the movie. And he goes, what are you crying about? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm just crying. Right?
I have no idea. Yeah.
I didn't know that I was anxious. right? Like it's so these moments of, say, meditation, sitting in silence, like all of that, it slows your brain down, which is anxiety 101, right? No wonder I avoided doing that so much, because I have to let go of my old operating systems. And as much as we say we want to let go of that, we don't. Our fight or flight brain is going, no way, because that's how we survive. That's how we do everything. So there's like the letting go of the emotions, there's letting go of the stories. But the other thing that has really been a challenge that I've been resisting is like letting go of relationships.
Yeah.
And that's been like probably one of the hardest parts that I know that I need to like lean into a little more. There's this part of me that's like, I'm going through all this change and I want to share it with everybody, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody cares, wants to hear about it, or wants to participate.
Right.
Right. And and when it's something too that is so much a part of my life, right? Turning it off is really difficult, but also I don't want to turn it off, right? This is the way that I approach life. And some people don't want that. And I'm very aware that like, it's okay. They don't want that. But also I am not going to change who I am to appease the fact that you don't want that. So there's this like mutual acceptance part. Now I have to be willing to accept they don't want that. They have to be willing to accept that's who I am. And if there are moments where you're just beating heads about it, that is when I can go, I can't have this in my life anymore. Right. And that has been the kind of biggest challenge of letting go. Right. I'm really excited about all these changes that are happening in my life. I'm really excited about all this growth that I've had. But growth also means you're growing out of some things.
Right.
And that means your old patterns, your old behaviors, your old stories, and sometimes old relationships that just aren't supporting who you are anymore.
Right.
So that's kind of been my journey up to recognizing, okay, this really is the year of letting go, of just like taking your hands off the steering wheel and being like, okay, I'm ready. I'm letting go of all control and just stepping into where I say I want to be. If I'm going to make this step into this next level, I have to let go of the previous level, whatever that means. And maybe, some people will catch up. That would be great.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe they won't. That may mean saying, goodbye to people. I've done exercises where I literally like visualize cutting cords. I send them love. I love you. I wish the best for you. I hope that someday we can have a relationship again. But right now, I got to cut this cord.
Yeah.
And it's been a challenge. And then the same thing with, again, cutting the cords to old stories that I've used to validate myself or validate my behavior, justify my behavior. I was thinking the other day about how, my dad passed away in 2005, right? I am at a place right now that I can talk about my dad without, a sucker punch, right? Kelly may be in a very different place, right? It's still raw for you. Mm-hmm. It is. I get that. I know that I'm in a place where I can talk about my dad, and I may get a little emotional, but it's not like, overcoming me. I also know that I have in the past used that as a reason to behave the way I do. So if someone says something to me like, you don't understand the pain I'm going through right now because I had a breakup, and I'm like, screw you. You don't understand the pain of real loss when you bury 9 family members in a year, including your dad. Like, I've done that in the past to justify some other emotion that I'm not willing to actually confront.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, if I want to evolve or up level, I have to let go of all of my, woe is me stories. I have to let them go. Right. And that doesn't mean I can't use them or reference them as, say, a way to help other people. But I can't be so emotionally attached to them to validate or justify myself. That is a whole nother level of letting go for me. So that's been like almost an hour of me talking about my intention for 2022. There'll be some stuff edited out of there, I'm certain, but Kel, where's your brain at right now?
I think I am like trusting myself is kind of something that has come up lately in in my personal life, but also in business, like trusting that I know what the fuck I'm doing, but that goes for like life, like trusting that I know what the hell I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm doing, even if I really am not quite sure. Mm-hmm. I still know what I'm doing. But like also for me, sometimes I struggle to like include the important people around me in that trust. So that's, it's kind of a 2-parter. Like I have to trust myself, but I also have to include the people around me in that. Mm-hmm. And that, my husband and I talk about it all the time because the two of us are, I would say we're both kind of fearlessly independent. So, including each other and stuff, we have a challenge with that. Because I plan things and then I tell him after the fact, and he does the same. We don't actually include each other in the planning process.
Are you talking about me and Eddie right now?
Yeah. No, but
yes.
I know that's about the same. I know the situation is about the same.
Right.
So, but that's what, has been coming up for me a lot lately is that I need to trust that I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I know how to do this, XYZ, whatever it is. And I need to include my partner in what's going on, especially in that trusting, like, hey, we need to be partners in this thing called life and not just, include each other after the fact. Mm-hmm. So,
can I ask you like a very coaching question?
Of course. I knew you would.
What would it take for you to trust yourself? What else needs to happen for you to trust yourself?
I need to do it. Like I need I need more focus. I get very easily distracted by other things. I am a procrastinator. I'm a master procrastinator. So I'm really trying to get out of that. And I know that I just need to do it. I just need to do it. Like, I need to trust that I know what I'm doing and stop procrastinating about doing it because I think I'm not sure I know what I'm doing. That's the whole thing.
And that's the kind of second follow-up question, right? Is like, well, how do you know you don't know what you're doing?
Right.
You don't unless you do it.
I don't.
Right.
I don't unless I do it. And even if the outcome is not what my goal was, that doesn't mean that I didn't know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just means maybe my messaging needs to change. Mm-hmm. That's all.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the other thing is that I need, I don't want to be stuck in a place of, well, it didn't turn out this way, so fuck it.
Right.
I don't want to be stuck in that place because it's not an all or nothing. It's okay, you do it and okay, maybe it didn't turn out the way you wanted. So guess what? You just change your messaging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been looking at goals. Like I've really been conscious with my clients to, instead of referring to goals, refer to them as experiments.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like being like, so what 3 experiments would you like to, test this week? Right? Like, because it takes the pressure off of it has to go this certain way. That's not how experiments work.
Right.
We're testing to see what works and what doesn't. And maybe we'll adjust slightly here and slightly here.
Right.
But there was something else really interesting that you said. And I too have working through this, which is that fiercely independent, right? And I don't even want to say balance because they're almost 2 different concepts of a fiercely independent person, but, like you said, including loved ones around me, where I've kind of done this either or. I take in what they say and I process it, or I take in what they say and I just go, nope, 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 nope. And I do what I want anyway. Right?
Yep.
First of all, I've had this conversation with Lisa, Coach Lisa Carpenter, which is, what's wrong with that? Nothing. Right? Am I asking them their input because I'm genuinely curious about their input? Right?
Yeah.
And the things that they're saying aren't meeting my criteria of what is important to me, then there's no problem here.
Right.
Right? I have admittedly been on the other side where someone asks me their input and I give them my feedback, but then I get really upset that they didn't do what I think they should have done.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's my control stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So like, again, and this is what's so fascinating because my brain did that. My brain meshed the 2 of them together and said, look, this is contradictory. And she was like, these are 2 different things. These have no connection. And I also get too, it's so funny because I think most people would consider you and I like very outgoing people. And we are. And both of us still just kind of keep people at a hand's distance apart. Like, right? Yeah. There's still just this little like, right?
Yeah.
For me, that's what part of this podcast is about, is sharing these like very vulnerable sides of me that I am just starting to recognize as I let my guard down. I have to blow kisses at Brody. Hi, buddy. And sharing that. And again, a balance for me is to share that vulnerably without shame, feeling guilty, beating myself up about it. Like, there's that acceptance part of it. I accept myself and that these are these patterns that I've had, and I'm recognizing these patterns. Okay. That's okay. You're learning your lessons here on Earth School, and and do better next time. Do differently next time. And I've also started embracing this idea that regretting things, making wrong decisions, because that seems to come up a lot for people that we work with as well, is what if I'm making a wrong decision? What if, and really starting to embrace this idea that there are no wrong decisions.
Right.
Trusting yourself that you are making the best decision you are capable of making right now.
Right.
And then down the road, if that decision didn't pan out the way you thought it would, letting go of regret, because at one point you did exactly what you wanted to do or thought was best for you.
Yeah.
That's it. Let it go. Stop beating yourself up about it. That's kind of tied into, again, to my let it go idea of you know what, just make the best decision you're capable of making. It's our messy action, right? Just do it. You can fix it. I also heard somebody say, ready, fire, aim. And I really like that.
Oh.
Ready, fire, aim. Right? Gather what you need to, just what you need to, because I get lost in gathering mode.
Yeah.
I love to gather.
Same.
Right? I love to gather. Do it, and then focus it.
Yeah.
Right? Focus where you need to focus.
Yeah.
Yay.
So after the doing is when you can focus.
Exactly. You have to have that data. You have to have the data to go with it.
Yeah.
Look at you're smiling. I can't tell if that's a nervous smile or
No, I like that.
So Kelly's gonna trust herself in business and in private life. What's that look like for you?
Growth.
How are you gonna measure it?
It's just gonna be a feeling. I don't know. I don't know that I can really put a degree on it. To me right now, it's a feeling, because I could easily say, well, in business, it means, this many more dollars or people or whatever. But even that right now, it feels more like a feeling versus a number.
I think that's a really, wise thing, especially if you're talking business about dollars and clients, right?
Yeah.
And because that's very much, again, this idea of resolutions and outcome goals, right?
Yeah.
That's an outcome goal, but you don't really have control over that. But what you do have control of is, how many people you talk to about doing
connections.
Yeah, exactly.
Connections.
Those kind of behaviors that get you towards the outcome goal. And what I love that you're saying about the feeling is that energy you bring to the behavior. That's the game changer for most people, is again, if you never got the outcome that you wanted, would you still be doing what you're doing? I have no doubt that if Kelly never got that dollar amount outcome, she'd still be talking to people about Pilates.
Yeah.
Right? And again, that's the energy. That's the energy thing where it's if I never get that outcome, it's fine. Because I'm still going to show up and I'm still going to help people.
Right.
Right? So there are absolutely ways that you're like, okay, this feels good because I love helping people through Pilates, and it's really easy for me to talk to people about Pilates. And I know that that is the exact behavior that's going to get me where I want to go. So I just have to focus on that. Right?
Yeah.
Then when it comes to personal, how do we know we're trusting ourselves?
It's still connection. It's still the connection.
The connection to you or connection to people?
To the people. To my people.
To my people. To my people.
To my people.
Yay.
Yeah.
Love it. That's, let me see.
Yeah.
That is in my top 10 values. It's connection.
Connections.
Yep. Connection. It's in my top 10 right here on my wall.
Yeah.
Touching them right now.
As you point to it.
Yeah. Yay. Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Do I get to be one of those people?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Included?
Yeah.
Included
okay, cool.
in the...
That's cool.
Well, you're going to have to be, because you're going to be someone who's going to keep me honest.
What?
Yeah.
My accountability buddy.
Yes, you're the accountability person. That's your job.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yay. Accountability, that's my favorite. Says the person whose top value is freedom.
Right. Well, but accountability. You're good at it for other people.
Other people, I'm so good at it.
Yes.
Also, like that we talked about this at the retreat is like, keeping your word. Yes. I am so good at keeping my word to other people.
Right.
Not
to
so
myself.
Much yourself. That is a muscle I am working that has never been worked before. But side note though, that idea of, I was like, freedom is my top value, but accountability, I will say that, again, Coach Lisa pushed me on this one was, as someone whose freedom is top value, you are going to find more freedom with structures than you ever will. And I was like, what? And she's like, just trust me on this. Like, start tracking all your important data. Right. That's why I have this, book here on my desk of my, my schedule for the day. Right. And the top 5 must be done tasks, because as a freedom person, I'm like, oh, look, I've got like 2 hours. I'll just go here and I'll just do this. And I don't really have to send that newsletter out. La, 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 right. Yeah. But it's actually the structure that allows me the freedom that I actually want.
Right.
Because I get shit done. Right. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, look, it's okay. So, 3-day weekend, no problem. I get all my stuff done before that weekend. So I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. It's actually within the structure, that accountability part, right? That the true freedom exists.
That's right.
Oh, us humans, we're funny and complicated.
I know. We're so funny.
This may be our longest podcast ever, including our first one.
Yeah.
I talked a while. I hope it was very useful for everybody
46
listening.
minutes to be exact.
Really? There had to be some shenanigans in there, right?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, if this sounds anything like you, if you're resonating with the idea of setting intentions for this year, and look, I realize that this is, mid-January. You guys, you can set intentions at any time. It doesn't have to be January 1st.
You can set intentions in the morning.
You can set
for your day.
For the day, for the hour,
the week, for the month.
Anything.
It doesn't matter. Anything.
But if you want some help clarifying intentions, let us know. Like I said, this is something Kelly and I have kind of worked through and noodled through, and maybe you're not used to thinking of it in that way. I get it. We're here to help you, right? Maybe you're used to setting goals, and we can help you reframe those goals into intentions, into powerful positive, expansive intentions versus those kind of restrictive resolutions. Let us know. We're here to help you. You can send us an email at permissiontoexploreretreats@gmail.com. You can send us a message on our website, permissiontoexploreretreats.com. You can slide into our DMs.
Slide into the DMs.
Permission to Explore Retreats.
On the Facebook.
On the face place, Permission to Explore
Permission
Retreats.
to Explore Retreats.
And our personals, Kelly Pilates. Is there an underscore? Yes. It's just one.
It's just one. It's all together.
I don't know.
Kellie Pilates.
I just type K and it autofills because apparently,
you know. I do the same thing. I just start typing Lindsay and it pops up.
But mine is Coach _ Lindsay with an E _ SCHW, and then it should pop up.
Yes.
Thanks, parents.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're happy to help you with this. You know, it's mid-January. Let's set those intentions for the year and then see where you are at the end of the year. A couple of my, you know, favorite powerful questions that I like to ask is, you know, where will you be a year from now, 5 years from now, if you continue to live each day exactly as you're living right now?
Yeah.
Right? And where could you be a year from now or 5 years from now if you make one change, one intentioned, focused change? What becomes possible then? Mm-hmm. So we'll leave you with that. And yeah, we will see you next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.